Hi, this might be a new series. I don't know. Some story time with Suzu type of things. But yeah, today I'll be reminiscing. Is reminiscing the right word? I don't know. Is it a good word? Might not be actually. A more traumatic experience for me. Something pertaining to my first girlfriend at a very, very young age. I think if you've seen the post I made on Twitter, you'll probably be interested in knowing more. Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, let's get right into it. So I met this girl on League of Legends when I was really, really young. Safe to say, I'm not going to disclose what age I was, but you can assume that I was under the adult age. But yeah, I met this girl on League of Legends when I was playing rank one day. We ended up adding each other. We duo queued for quite a while. It's actually pretty normal, actually, like a normal friendship for like 3 months plus, I think. We mostly just queued rank. We hang out in game. A lot of texting. It took some time before we actually ended up using Skype. Throwback that one. But yeah, using Skype and I was like, holy crap, you're a female. kind of a, I don't know, I think at the time, at that point in time, I was just a guy that enjoyed games. I didn't really believe there was females on the internet. It's like, that's crazy. Female on the internet? Wow. I just came online every day. I was basically a nerd actually if you think about it. I just came on, played some games, enjoyed my time. We had a really platonic friendship. I watched a lot of anime. I did know of romance past that, Romance might not just be for me. It's a thing that happens in shows. It's a really weird point in time where you're like really influenceable, I would say. But yeah, most of my personality traits at the time was like heavily came from anime and stuff like that. Yeah. Fast forward, Christmas was coming. We ended up getting together. No idea how. Can't really remember, but we ended up getting together. She came over for a Christmas party my family was holding. My family frequently drank during Christmas. Actually, it's like it's like a rare event actually. Only Christmas it happens. Funny enough, we actually don't celebrate Christmas where I'm from, but my family specifically likes to celebrate it in a very wholesome party. Yeah, I ended up clocking. I remember going to bed quite early that day. I think I went to bed like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. ish, and the girl that was over started talking to my family. I was like, this should be fine. I'm just gonna get to bed and sleep, right? And I woke up to incredible heat on top of. Okay, I guess to put into perspective what I felt was I woke up to something really heavy on top of me. I was like, what the flip? And next thing I know, I've just lost my V card and I just carried on. Me being me was so freaking tired. I can barely remember what happened. All I remember is falling asleep after. Seeing as how there's no child and I'm not being asked for child support, I'm pretty sure that I did not cause an early pregnancy. But yeah, you can clearly see the red flag at this point where I've clearly just been, the big R word in my sleep in my own house. But aside from that, I didn't really think much about it. I know a bunch of people that have thought that this is really messed up, but yeah, not really that important story because I kind of moved on. I have seen therapy for it, apparently, because you need to when you report this kind of stuff in my country. But okay, yeah, we're derailing again. Moving on. We have this casual conversation about what happened, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's not really that big of a deal. Fast forward into the New Year's, we spent more time playing League. Things was going pretty normal-ish. Nothing really crazy so far. We've just spent more time playing together, but as you can tell, at the age range, you can guess at this point, at that age range, school starts back in January. and we eventually can't really play games as much, which brings her to her first idea in that I should be going over to her house and hanging out. It's like, okay, you know what? Fine, I will. I eventually figured out how to travel by myself outside of my neighborhood because at the time I was like, I think I've never really traveled out of my area by myself. I was accompanied by my family. So I learned how to travel to her house, stuff like that. Like from my area to her area. I started casually hanging out with her more because she was like, you know what? I actually don't really want to play games today. I kind of want you to come over and I'll watch you play games. I was like, fine, I don't mind. Seems like a simple enough request. And I honestly am not really much of a lazy person back then and now. So this happens back and forth, and this is where it should have been a very red flag to me. I don't know. First relationships always end up pretty shit in it, but she'd randomly have these mental breakdowns through the night. Because I would leave on the last bus most days when I go over to hang out, and she would randomly have these mental breakdowns a few hours before I would leave, or before I was supposed to leave, which is, thinking about it now in hindsight, those mental breakdowns might have been a way to keep me there. But yeah, she would randomly just have these crazy impulsive thoughts that I would be cheating on her while I'm playing games with her, or when I invite people to play games with in Link, I was inviting some girl instead of a guy, and then she had to know everyone, which is fine with me, obviously. Sharing my friend group wasn't an issue then, was an issue now. She would just question everything I did. Oh, why were you in the toilet so long? Oh, why were you on your phone? Who are you looking at? Why are you texting someone? Are you playing with so and so that just straight up didn't exist? She would frequently lose her temper at me, shouting at me, screaming at me. I would just I don't I grew up in a really bad household in terms of being patient and caring. A lot of shouting, a lot of violence. I didn't really like the shouting, but I still tried to talk to her normally and try to just be there and comfort her, because from what my family thought at that point of time was that guys don't really cry, guys don't really show emotions. This is to be a supportive, strong figure that doesn't falter. I was like, you know what? I got that. I'm pretty sure I was fresh off of watching this anime called Omamori Himari. I don't know if you watched it. Very good anime. Main character on the last, might be a spoiler actually. Main character is just really, really very kind and caring guy. There's a heroine. So that was my response to every mental breakdown that she had. Eventually, her screaming escalated to her throwing her makeup items, her shelving, things that she had around the table, her books, her bag, pillows. Then at one point, it just kept ramping up. Honestly, it's like a game. It's like a game of abuse with no real limit, because I think eventually it got to the point she was trying to throw her freaking like custom made PC at me, which is just heavy as shit, and she's like skinny as fuck. She's trying to throw a computer, her really expensive heavy duty gaming chair, and it frequently would result in her trying to grab her bed. And these three were, in my head at the time, I'm pretty sure there was limits. The fighting would just continuously happen like this, and it's like some crazy, just what the flip. I think it escalated to the point where the worst one was her threatening me with a knife to kill me. And I went, I'm not gonna leave you. I really am not. I love you so dearly. I would never want to hurt you. And I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do when okay, it sounds a lot better now, but I'm pretty sure that's the meaning I was going with. The wordplay could have been a lot worse, because me then and me now, huge difference. But you get the point. And I was just trying to generally calm her down and comfort her and tell her that I'm not really going anywhere. I kind of chose you for a reason. She didn't believe me, and then she approached me, and there's this one scene in this one anime where the guy was gonna get cut by the heroine. My brain went, surely I hug her here and nothing goes wrong, right? I hug her here. Oh, sharp pain through my right hand. I had really insane pain tolerance then. Still have decent amount now. Stifled my pain. Just hugged her and comforted her with my other free hand. Do you need a description of how you comfort sound? I was hugging her, patting her back, and I was like, it's fine, it's okay. Eventually, she did release it, and I managed to pull it out, and it was so freaking pain. Top 10 worst exes in my life was also my first girlfriend, and this was like a major point of why I can't forget how bad the relationship was. The physical abuse was insane. The emotional abuse only gets worse from here though. Eventually we do end up stop fighting. Like, we cease this constant fighting. I'm like, okay, we're good. Finally, she's back to being the happy, cheerful girl I met at the start. This friend, I consider my best friend at the time because we spend so much time together. It's kind of crazy. But then it be kind of... It's crazy because it's either physical abuse or emotional abuse. She started telling me... She started calmly explaining to me what she's going through. And she started opening up about how she's been and things that has happened to her. And apparently, if I'm remembering this right, she dated a guy that was 7 years older than her, that had used her for explicit things. I'm gonna leave it up to you. And she was also she had experienced her own very traumatic incident involving two guys in her own bedroom that I will just let you think that true. It's not good, very bad, and it really helped me understand where all this unfound at the time for me emotional and physical abuse came from. Those crazy outlash, is that even a word? Like her crazy outbreaks and just insane behavior. At least to me, I was like, I try to be understanding, try to be there. We just had a nice heart-to-heart talk, and I was like, you know what, we're getting somewhere. And then it slowly started happening. After she opened up, she started removing my friends on League of Legends. She started deleting contacts from my phone, and she just had issues feeling secure, which I took it as a way to just overshare everything, which entirely fine with some relationships. I know there's some relationships where privacy is not a thing, and I eventually do end up taking this thing where privacy is not a thing in my relationships in the future. But at the time, I didn't really know what to do. I shared with her my bank details, my account logins, my emails, any way you can contact me, any login you need, and this might have been the worst decision. Because crazy concept, I know. You can clearly see the red flags right as day. Looking back on it, crazy as hell. She started logging into my accounts, removing my friends. And because at the time I didn't use a lock for my phone, I would frequently wake up to my contacts being cleared. Even my own family members, which was insane behavior. I don't know why. Man, the me back then, dumb as shit. But yeah, I would constantly wake up to this feeling of isolation from everyone, despite like knowing I can actually just leave. And it was kind of messed up in a lot of ways. I eventually told her that this is not conducive at all. I like to play with my friends, because my friends will re-add me, and I know a lot of those friends that in real life, they're like literally my classmates. And this pattern would happen. I don't know. It's not even. I don't even know. It became a routine actually. Whenever I came over to her place, and eventually, I did cave and start sleeping over her house. because my poor weak heart could not endure her constant crying meltdowns, and hearing her really painful backstory got me to just try and convince my family that, you know what, you just have to trust me. I'm gonna sleep over at her house. I'll come back tomorrow. And so I slept over like every weekend ish. There's some breakdowns that was so bad. I actually stayed over her house till like 6 in the morning. Take the first bus back home. Take a quick shower, change, get and go to class because my school was next to my house. Weirdly enough, like within walking distance, and that became a routine for me, where I dealt with just having to read context and stuff for a while, and after constantly telling her that it's not okay, that I really like to play my friends, and then even reassuring her that she can get to know my friends. Boy, oh boy, I don't really know which came first, but we'll get through this together as I reminisce about terrible times. She eventually caved and went, okay, fine. And she started hanging out with my friends, and we started playing instead of duo rank or like me solo queuing and her watching. We started playing in 5 stacks. At the time, League allowed you to queue rank with 3. I don't think you could ever queue 4, I think. It's like 3, 4, 3, 5. We started playing as a group, and she started getting to know my friends. Casually flirting them. I didn't really think much about it, because I'm like, okay, at the time, remembering now, that's clearly flirting. The me at the time thought they were just being like, good friends. They hung out and stuff like that, and turns out she would play with them when I was asleep, because I back then my sleep, bro, so much better than me now. My sleep right now, horrible, but I was pretty early, and she would hang out with my friends since they're like near my age, some a bit older. She had conversations with them, open up to them about stuff. And what I didn't know at the time was that she was not telling the truth to begin with. Constantly saying that I was a neglectful boyfriend, I didn't really care about her, didn't really love her, how I was looking at other women, how I just didn't treasure her much, or that I was constantly beating her, being abusive and stuff like that. Which is crazy, because if you think about it, if they were really my friends, they would bring this out with me, but I only found all of this out after this relationship ended, which in hindsight might have been the best thing, that I just restarted all my friendships. But yeah, that went on, and then I think this is where it started getting a bit dangerous. Some time after a few months where things felt like it was going alright, she started having nightmares of me cheating on her. Because God forbid a good relationship that's healthy and things are going right just stay that way. She had nightmares of me cheating on her. She'll wake up to those nightmares, attempt to choke me in my sleep, which I was sleeping next to her. I would wake up gasping for air, half alive at that point, grabbing her hand and forcing her to release, because whoop-de-doo, if I don't, I wouldn't be making this video. In fact, I don't think I would have lived past that age. Really young age. I'll probably be dead, sleeping with God. I'm in heaven, whatever heaven you believe in. But yeah, I went through a lot of instances where this would happen frequently, out of seemingly the blue. Actually, we'll have a pretty good day, we'll go out for dinner, lunch, meet, so weird. Rendezvous? No, we'll like meet back at her house at the end of the date, just so she'll feel secure. I'll take her home, and then whenever I leave, she'll just end up crying, and I'll fold and I'll stay, and then be like, all right, I can just go to class tomorrow in the morning. No biggie. At the time, I woke up really easily to my alarm clock. Wasn't really a type to sleep heavily, but it also helped when my girlfriend keeps trying to kill me in my sleep. I think it happened more than like 10 times. And I don't know why I stayed, truthfully. I might have just been such a lover boy. Truly believe that things would get better with time, which did in fact not get better with time. Seemingly only getting worse for my safety. But yeah, we kind of got somewhere where it eventually did stop, and we had a pretty loving relationship where we did a lot of fun stuff together, a lot of explicit things that you shouldn't be doing at that age, but different times. Truly, you can leave it up to your imagination. We did a lot of stuff together. Genuinely, she kind of set the stage for the kind of love I would end up wanting. That would ruin a lot of relationships for me because I just didn't feel loved as obsessive as this. And it was kind of messed up in a way that she's both the worst girlfriend and kind of the one that shaped everything I end up liking and not liking, which, if you think about it, it's pretty good. And if you don't think about it that way, it's pretty fucked. Because I end up liking a lot of this overbearing love. There were like definitely key moments that still I remember, like me falling sick and this crazy lady girlfriend would leave her class 9 a.m. If you know, it's midway through class, she will leave her class, take a cab to my house, bring me to the doctors because my family did not bring me to the doctors and they just went, "You got it. I'm sure you're old enough." I'm like, okay, man, I'm literally fever, half dead, but whatever. But yeah, they were actually pretty good times during this downtime of nothing happening, but with all good things and her self-sabotaging behavior and her constantly gaslighting my friends, eventually my friends ended up vanishing one by one, or they would say some like offhanded remarks that stay in my mind. And I remember one of it was, I think it was straight after a game, a long session together, and she left the call and it was just me and this guy. It's like, bro, you gotta treasure her more, man. What the fuck are you doing? I'm like, what? And I was like confronted about my behavior and stuff like that. I was like so confused because personally, from my point of view, she was going well. I practically just discarded all my free time and alone time and any time that I had towards spending time with her. And obviously this caught me off. I was like, what the fuck? I messaged her about it and she was like, she just had a mental breakdown when it was completely livid for a few months straight, saying I didn't trust her. Why did I break her trust? It was something that I kept remembering to this day. Something about how I just didn't love her enough, how I didn't believe her when she said she didn't do it. I was like, I don't know. At that I was just like, I was getting used to her crazy antics. And I was just, whatever the flip, man. Eventually, we end up meeting a bunch of these friend groups that ultimately might have been the biggest downfall because whoop-de-doo, this girl that I was dating was really lonely. And my friend group that was supposedly quite positive at the time was doing its good like nature on her. But we ended up bumping into a group of friends that were really, really bad. It was not the best influence, and this led to her trying a lot of different things, hanging out with a really negative crowd that really fed into her attention-seeking. Like, okay, I don't know if you realize it, but she's clearly an insane attention seeker. But it kind of fed into her attention-seeking behavior and promoted her doing bad things. Things that I personally didn't agree to, and we kind of hit a boiling point where we were still dating, but we weren't as close as we were at the start. And I would get dragged on her crazy, I want to go to this, I want to go to that, let's do this with them. I was like, okay, fine. Eventually, I was invited late to this bar, and it was my first time going to this place in Singapore called Clarke Quay. which if you think about it, kind of bad. It was at that moment when I got invited by my friends. I walked over and I saw her kissing my other friend, in which my mental exploded. Mental boom, boom. Any source of positive mindset gone. Completely heart sank to my, I don't know how far your heart can sink truthfully. Shattered, exploded, I don't know, whichever word that you could help you understand how devastated I was and how heartbroken I was. Chose not to make a scene, which I sat next to her. Eventually, our tables for some reason split up and we started drinking, and then eventually I ended up just leaving midway through, crying my eyes out. Just gonna sound so dramatic. It started raining. I had roamed somewhere completely away from this shit show. I ended up crossing the street. There was heavy traffic. Got slammed by a car. Somehow didn't die. Didn't fly far enough to die either. Stood up. Heavy rain. Somehow found my way into some shelter. There's like two guys that ended up finding me from that friend group. One would end up actually bringing me back to his house, and he lived across from me. Yeah, this other guy was really, he was just really L, and I could feel that he wanted to bang my girlfriend at the time. Truthfully, dating this girl made my radar for guys that are interested in your girlfriend to level up so fast, because I could just tell. If you're a guy watching this, you know, you can tell the signs. You just got this feeling. Your gut's just telling you, this guy's a fucking fucker boy, ain't it? But yeah, they eventually caught up to me. We had a conversation, blah blah. Fast forward, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's time to move on. Cheating is a no-go. We broke up. We broke up in a very dramatic way. I cannot remember where or what or how I did it. I remember crying and being really fucking depressed for like a month, I think. I was like, you know what, fuck man, this is so fucked. And then eventually, sometimes passed, I got invited by that same group to celebrate a birthday party with one of this guy that I had a decent level of respect for, trusted him to a certain amount, and this is where shit truly hit rock bottom. Everything started fine. It's I can't tell if I should give the location, but it's somewhere in Pasir Ris. You would know if you live in Singapore, but we had a chalet there. And it's a pretty tame party, all things considered. Crazy. There was drinking, there was food. It seemed like everything was going pretty alright actually. Until she arrived, when I was invited with the pretense that it's a birthday party, she wouldn't be there. She came. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be better. Ignore this. Carry on. It's not about me. I'm just here to have fun. Fuck off. Before the night could even end, somewhere along the lines, some guy questioned me. Didn't really know his name. Because I knew like 70% of people in the party, but 30% is a question mark, and this is one of the question mark people. He asked me about my past relationships with so and so. I started accusing me. I was like, fuck no. Why, bro? I'm so, I'm not really. I wasn't afraid of women then, but I hated physical contact then. I didn't like being touched. And to give a better explanation of why, I'll do a quick TLDR. I was bullied in primary school by a group of a certain racial group that spanned from primary 1 to primary 5, which led me to a lot of mental breakdowns where I would rock back and forth, and I started defending myself only in my later years. So in those early years, I just got beat to shit, which made me hate physical contact. So I was like, that's insane. And I replied to him that I would never touch her, I would never lay a hand on her. I loved her so much. he would then gaslight me and say, no, from what I've heard, you are this, 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 and this. And then this conversation spread slowly until the point where I was surrounded by a bunch of guys and they were just repeating the same things back at me despite me constantly defending myself. And I would then get my ass handed to me for an extended period of time, from the main room to the toilet onto the outside staircase. I was bleeding, kind of fucking half dead. I haven't started coughing blood yet, but I sure as hell wanted to cough out blood because I remember being so beat that I couldn't stand. I was crawling most times, being dragged around like a rag doll. It felt like all my bones were on fire. It was not very fun. Eventually, I think the craziest part of this whole situation was the fact that I knew some of the people questioning me, and they were people I thought was friends, and you could see in their eyes that they themselves didn't believe what they were saying. And it's those that see a semblance of a guilty conscience, and I was just like, oh, fucking. I don't know. It was the betrayal was kind of insane, and it kind of really affected my trust of people for a long time. I think I still have trust issues now, but I kind of just keep over those parts. But yeah, I eventually just somehow, through the midst of getting beaten half dead, I left behind a lot of my stuff. The only plus side to this is that the friends that betrayed me managed to keep my material goods safe, and that's their repayment for not defending me then against a bunch of people and just letting me get fucking viciously punched, beaten, and absolutely smacked around like a fucking punching bag. But yeah, I managed to crawl my way out onto the street on a sidewalk where I proceeded to ask people for their phones, in which multiple people walked past me, and my faith in humanity in Singapore plummeted down so fast. Man, you'll be amazed at the amount of people that would just look at you crawling. Your clothes are fucked, you smell like shit, you're half dead, you barely conscious, you're just going, phone. Can I let a phone? Like that, like half dead. And they'll just walk by you. Some would walk in their friends. I remember this so vividly, it was so freaking tilting. This group of guys walked past their friends laughing, pointed at me, walked away while laughing. I was like, what the flip? Eventually someone does lend me their phone though. It's a lady, I can't really remember who. It was a lady, she lent me her phone. I called. Weirdly enough, I didn't call the ambulance or the police actually. If I remember correctly, I called my mom, sobbing, crying in pain, and I told her that I need some help and I'm really badly injured. And yeah, at the time my sister was dating this guy for a car, and everything was kind of a blur actually. The only memory I could remember next was somehow getting into an ambulance and being detoured into the police office and filing a report on what had transpired and everything such as that. And I made a report about the whole situation, very down to police reports were pretty insane. It's really comprehensive because they asked me about stuff like how long have I been dating this person, how do we meet, who are these friends that we were at, how did I get into myself in this situation, do I had any idea why I was getting beaten up. I just explained everything as best I could, half dead. My mom was just constantly being really serious. I remember my mom doing like, you have to remember every single detail. Every detail is important. Don't forget. And she's like fuming, but then she's also really worried because I was like in and out of consciousness. It was just, it's the worst state I've ever been in. I think this is like my greatest low physically, mentally, emotionally. That's so bad. And then I remember getting on a strapper? Not quite sure what it's called actually. I remember getting on a bed and I just boom, suddenly I'm like in the hospital, half awake, there's stuff inside my arm. I'm like groggy as hell. Doctor walks over, hey. So good news is there's nothing too badly damaged, nothing critical. Just wanna let you know that if if they hit me at a certain spot over and over, this fracture could have worsened and I would have been paralyzed waist down. I was like, oh, that's a nice laugh too. Twisted sense of humor back then, and I remember laughing and going, oh, well, at least I'm not, I'm not paralyzed. Couldn't really walk. So I think I was in the hospital for a really long time. Like, I think I was in it from night till like somewhere at 11 a.m., 10 a.m. around there. I got discharged. I was given a lot of painkillers. That's my first time using those like weird things you have to. I really have no idea what they're called. Crutches, I think. I was given some crutches and my mom helped me out, and that was my life for like 3 months. Because my leg, the bones were really fucked. My knee, I'm pretty sure I sustained permanent knee damage because ever since that situation, my knees have hurt so badly. I've never had a time in my life where my knee wasn't in just crippling pain. And till now, it's still pretty bad. It didn't help that I grew taller and my knees just hurt now. But yeah, that was the story of my first ex. I'm probably gonna flash a bunch of TLDRs for like the abuse if you were curious what actually happened. If you lost me somewhere in my derailments and my yapping, you can take a good look of what actually happened here. But yeah, it's the first story time. I don't really have any good reflections about this, not gonna lie. It was really a good character development situation if you think about it. In that you try to find an ounce of like positivity in a really bad relationship. It drew boundaries of things that I didn't like and flags, traits that I hated. And it also taught me that I really don't like being touched in certain ways, especially when it hurts. It really brings back a lot of bad memories. Till now, I still have not grown past that. Pain really induces a lot of anger really fast for me. I think like, honestly, a lot of people I've conversed with have said that they wish that they could experience something as crazy as this, as it builds character and builds personality. But I must say, I would really trade anything to not have not experienced this situation. Sure, I've definitely improved a lot as a person after that terrible relationship. I've learned a lot of lessons, but the damage is really bad. Like, I went for like therapy, like a few years after I was in psychotherapy for like, I think like close to 6 years ish. Just in and out every weekend. I would just come in for sessions and talk about it. Eventually, I think psychotherapy ended 3 years in, and I started being put on a counseling situation near my house for this family center. And it's like a permanent trauma, like a scar. You may have unpacked these emotions you have felt at the time. You may have gotten past these bad things, but as a person, as of filming this actually, I had a crazy panic attack over finding out that a friend of mine knew her currently, and that she's within a space that I occupy, which gave me a lot of... It's crazy because you don't really... It's hard to describe trauma because trauma isn't something you can physically explain that makes sense logically. Because I felt my heart rate start like an engine going and I'm like, holy fuck, my heart is so fast. I did all the steps that they will teach you how to calm down. Didn't really help. It got to such a bad point, I started watching this funny little video of fruits dancing, animation wise. It helped. But also as I started counting down the fruits and my heart rate eventually started calming down, I started crying for no flipping reason. I would just start bawling my eyes out. And it's not like an ugly cry, there's no sound. I just teared up and I started crying. And that was how my day went today before recording this. not very fun. I'm not quite sure why this video is gonna be made. Truth be told, I wasn't sure about talking more about this outside of just that one silly little trend on Twitter, because it's both a very painful memory and a very traumatic one that years of unpacking had, because this was a catalyst for me numbing my emotions for years. And for years, throughout my early 10s to 20s, I was very emotionally empty. In fact, I think a bulk of my psychotherapy nearing its end into my counseling session wasn't about getting over this situation and this relationship, but it was more of trying to gain back empathy and to feel my emotions and be in touch with it rather than burying it. Because crazy, I know toxic masculinity is the fastest way to lose yourself and be kind of like a working doll, or like just lose so much of who you are as a person because you just want to be stoic, you just want to not feel, just don't want to be weak, which is not, it's not really good for friendships and personal relationships, because I've dated a lot after that, and I've still felt depressed, but I was just using love as a replacement for the lack of emotional resonance I had within myself. It's just so bad. Like I can't see why anyone would want to go through this, because the only way I made it through this whole situation was numbing myself and trying to be the best boyfriend, the best person I could at the time. And I don't think I ever want to go through that again. And if you are young and you stumbled upon this video, I must say, take things slow, man. No rush. There's really no rush. Wanting to get older is fine, but just know that the things you want to enjoy right now that you think is cool, it's fine. Just don't ever put all your happiness into a person, or like, don't rush through things in life. Actually, things were a lot better when I took things slow and finally calmed down, got back in tune with how I could have some empathy for people and feel my emotions and not just downplay everyone else, because I've had the worst experience. And, eventually things get better. All storms pass, and eventually you will see that storm again and think to yourself that, wow, that sucked. And small things start to make you happy, and that's where I am right now. But yeah, if you enjoyed this small little story time, and if you kind of want to know more about my crazy life, which I must say, would not want to relive any of my worst moments. I've had a lot of terrible exes, a lot of terrible friendships as well. My luck with people hasn't been the greatest so far, but if you're interested to know more story times, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm gonna sell out and tell you to please like and subscribe. It will make me really happy. I'm really close to hitting monetization, and it'll be really freaking cool if I could hit it before the year ends. But yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time. Ja, ne?